Xoli, another day, another day of bombshells by Barbara Hogan. So many issues to touch on, but let's begin here. Xoli Mngambi's name coming up time and time again.
Indeed, Michelle, this time around at the start of the Commission of Inquiry here this morning, the Commission, through its evidence leader, Philip Mokoena, stating that they've received some kind of communication from the ANC, in particular from Mr. Xoli Mngambi. But the trouble with that documentation is that it's not signed, and therefore it would appear that Mr. Mngambi will have to sign that document if indeed it comes from him, and it appears that the ANC may be seemingly challenging what Barbara Hogan has been saying, at least from yesterday. But I'm also joined, Michelle, by the ANC's head of communications in the President's office, and that's Zizi Kodwa, is also an NEC member, and he'll probably shed some light on this documentation that comes from the ANC. Mr. Kodwa, thank you very much for your time. I think, first of all, has Mr. Mngambi attempted to write to this commission? Are the documents that are being spoken about his?
About a week ago, since the banks made their submission to this commission, we had already made publicly our intention voluntarily to come as an ANC to give our version of the meetings we had with the banks. Since then, we subsequently wrote a letter reserving our right of reply, and the Commission has granted us that right. We expect that by the end of this month, the ANC would have an opportunity. Of course, all the issues that are raised by the banks, particularly the issues also raised by Comrade Barbara, have to do with the time when Xoli Mngambi was the Secretary General. Xoli Mngambi will lead that delegation of the ANC, which we'll hope in a week now or 2 weeks' time will come and present our version on those specific issues.
So you're saying there's no firm date yet?
Only the Commission can confirm. Ourselves, we're waiting for a confirmation of date, but we have been promised that it would happen before the end of the month. We are ready. We have submitted our letter reserving our right of reply. We are ready in terms of our submission. Our legal team in the ANC and the legal team of the Commission are working on issues of submission and the contents of that submission. Like I said, we are limiting our submission to two things. Firstly is a version of the banks in terms of those meetings, but secondly, some aspects of the issues raised by Comrade Barbara in relation to systems or workings of the African National Congress, including subcommittees, how they interface with the government as far as deployment committee is concerned, for example. We'll respond to those issues.
All right, let's attempt to respond to them now, Zizi. And I know you've been saying for the longest time that the ANC will come and talk, but just talk to us in general terms, where the ANC's line of either accounting stands, or where does it start and where does it end? Because I think this was a question that was put by the Commission chairperson to the witness, Barbara Hogan, to say, does the ANC have a role to play in as far as a government is concerned? And if so, where does it start? Where does it end?
Our political system is such that people elect a party. And therefore, at the end of the elections, when the party is elected, whether by margin or by majority, it does select the best among its cadres to go and represent the manifesto upon which the party would have been elected for that particular term. And therefore, the accountability at the political level of those deployees, first and foremost, rests with the party in terms of what they do, because they are implementing the manifesto of the party. But we draw a very clear line between the party and the state. For example, if you have to talk about deployment committee of the ANC or any other subcommittee can only do what is called a recommendation. It does not appoint, it cannot appoint. That rests with the minister's concerned.
Can I just interject exactly there, Zizi, because that's the point. That was a very hot point yesterday, because Barbara Hogan asserts that she was actually instructed by the National Working Committee in as far as the deployment or the appointment of Siyabonga Gama to be the chief executive at Transnet. Does the party usually do this, instruct ministers to appoint certain people either to boards or the chief executive, or the chief executive positions in these state entities?
Firstly, we'll explain in our version how the ANC works. The National Working Committee does not discuss deployment as a structure. It doesn't. Issues of deployment, either to issues of government, these are the issues of where the president have to consult president only consult the top 6 of the ANC, including himself. It does not go to the National Working Committee. So that issue would have been misplaced. It does not come to from the National Working Committee. Secondly, the NEC does not even venture or discuss on issues of deployment, with the issue of strategic deployment in strategic positions. But let me just quickly deal with issues where the ANC would have an interest on some of the strategic issues. For example, the issue at hand now in the Commission. We'll look at issues of caliber of people who are deployed, who have to deploy it and take charge of those strategic portfolios. But issues of experience, issues of skills, we'll be interested in those issues in the context of developmental agenda, but also transformative policies of the African National Congress-led government. So we can only recommend in as far as that, but the issue, the decision rests with the minister.
Zizi, there's one particular issue that I think has really not set well. In fact, she says that she was highly offended by that assertion by her very own comrades, that she says at ANC alliance meetings, at that time, at the height of the Siyabonga Gama saga, she was labeled or branded an anti-transformation racist. These are her words. How would you respond to your fellow comrade who says this about you, about your party?
Firstly, it's the first time we hear such revelations from Comrade Barbara. As a member of the African National Congress, we have never had such an opportunity on her to tell us that this is what she has had to face from other alliance partners. We are not aware of any other alliance meeting where there was a discussion about her conduct, to an extent that there was an alliance discussion in the description of her behavior. Could have been individuals, which I think she brought it here. It's an issue that I cannot speak on behalf of those individuals, but the ANC as a structure has never made such a description of her behavior or her conduct. The ANC reserve a right at any stage through the office of the Secretary General to interface with its deployees one way or another. It is part of, it's a worldwide political phenomenon in a political system where deployees are not free agent, that by virtue of being in government, therefore they can do as they wish. They represent, first and foremost, they come from the party. So therefore it can't be a party that must feel guilty having called even the president. Our president, he was giving an account on some of the activities yesterday in East London. The issues that he's going to be doing, the European Union, where he's going, is part of what is called deployed cater of the African National Congress to give the party that he represents being accountable to the party.
This is just finally, we are running out of time. The commission is about to start, but there's one other issue I've got to converse with you. Barbara Hogan has named a number of people who interfered at that time with her work, in particular the appointment of a chief executive, and those that stood on the issue of Siyabonga Gama being appointed, despite him facing a disciplinary hearing at the time, where, for example, Minister Jeff Radebe today leads a very important panel that is going to give us the National Director of Public Prosecutions. Can he be trusted to do a good job when things like this come up? Why should we trust him now? Why should Jeff Radebe be tasked with that important responsibility if he can stand behind someone with a shady, with the checkered past, if you like?
We will continue to make this caution, that we mustn't, at the instance of a presentation or a submission of a version of one witness, and infer instead of guilt or instead of a judgment. A person who has not been cross-examined, there's never been an alternative version. That's why I cannot speak on behalf of those individuals. But I'm sure at the instant of the commission, it may feel necessary to collaborate and corroborate information presented. It may call those individuals. I only speak on behalf of the ANC. Those individuals who spoke on their individual capacity, not on behalf of the ANC, this commission has got a right to subpoena them to come to collaborate and corroborate that information. But the caution we always make, let's not run a public trial on the basis of one submission, which in itself is not cross-examined. There have been some twists and turns on the basis of people being cross-examined, and the new revelations have come. And I think let's not make instant judgment on the basis of a witness testimony to the commission. Let's allow, and actually we encourage more other people to come and make their submission to this commission.
This is just very quickly. Barbara Hogan says something here on the day of her firing, that she was accompanied by the stalwart of this party, who's no longer with us today, Ahmed Kathrada. He was made to sit in the car and wait whilst she was being fired. How does that sit with the party?
Well, I'm sure the party at that instance, when people are called as ministers, unless they make an arrangement and make a call to the president, I come with my partner. Is it possible that I can come and sit when the president makes that call? I'm appointing you, Zizi, as a minister. There would be indication you must come with your partner, or I have a meeting with you, minister. Do I come with a partner? So that arrangement could have been an arrangement of marriage. I don't think the ANC would have been involved, and I don't think she would have been wrong not to involve the ANC. She was right not to involve the African National Congress in that instance.
All right, Zizi, thank you very much for your time. Well, Michelle, we're going to have to leave it here. The commission resumes.
All right. Xoli Mngambi, my colleague, tracking the story there for us. He's speaking to Zizi Kodwa just in the wake of some of the revelations being made by Barbara Hogan. This is the second day of her testimony. A number of issues that Xoli Mngambi raised with Zizi Kodwa there. Zizi Kodwa making it clear that no decision, no judgment can be made on the merits of but one person's testimony at the Commission, also reiterating that the Commission has the power to subpoena those who are needed to give the different sides of this intricate story around state capture.